What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, episode number 25 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. There's been a bit of a break between the last episode and this one. Apologies about that. Life has been a bit mad over the last week. I took part in my first ever esports final for the Formula E. Can't believe that was a thing, but if you want to know more about that, follow me on TikTok to see like a behind the scenes of what it's like to be, well, an esports driver for a change. But yeah, link in the description. Let's get into this race, this video where, as the title suggests, we have a new car, a new looking car. It is the same livery, but we now have some sponsors to reflect the level that we are at in Formula 1 now. So thanks to Mark Webber, we are now sponsored by the greatest NRL team in the world, the Canberra Raiders. I can't believe after all these years, I'm finally getting my favorite football team and Mark Webber's favorite football team on one of my cars. There we go. It's there. Canberra Milk have jumped on board as a partner, as of Rolex, Pirelli, and Commonwealth Bank. So some Aussie brands in there to reflect the culture that we have at this team. The Marduk Motorsport logo has been refreshed for this year, thanks to Sevi for doing all of my graphic design and logos and stuff. He does all the thumbnails, he does the liveries for these cars, so I wouldn't be where I am today without him. Link to his profile and his stuff is in the description as well. And yeah, you can just see a little bit more Marduk Motorsport stuff, some Commonwealth Bank. TMDK is my once upon a time clothing brand. I've done one drop of merch and I haven't done any since. Maybe I'll do some again next year, but that makes a return on the car. And that is pretty much it, apart from the actual in-game Marduk Motorsport logo dotted around here and there. I wanted to keep the yellow and black. Oh, we also have Track Racer on the rear wing, as you can see. Those guys supply my sim rig, and very, very happy with those guys. They make epic sim rigs. More on that later. Anyway, let's get to the racing, shall we? It's still the same livery in essence. It just fills out nicely with some more sponsors, and I think I will add some more. I think there's more deals to be done over the course of this season as we grow, as we expand. But Mark has done a phenomenal job, not only managing Oscar Piastri later, he's been managing the business side of our Formula 1 team. He's been a busy man, as well as driving the car this year. Mark Webber is, well, man of the match of 2022, it seems. And he's got a contract renewal coming up in about a month. So we'd like to retain his services, I would imagine. He's been very, very fast. And I think I want to reward him with some personnel upgrades. I might do some stuff to the simulator to increase Mark Webber's pace. There's also the analysis suite we could do, which could boost his racecraft awareness and also his focus. But that's going to cost money. Not too sure whether we want to invest in that or do another, I don't know, quality control upgrade for one of the facilities to make sure upgrades do go on the car, because that has been a problem so far this season. But regardless, we're doing some upgrades. That's going to be a major tyre wear upgrade, which goes on in time for the British Grand Prix. I was weighing up between that and the major weight redistribution, as well as a rear downforce upgrade for the aero, but that would have been a minor one. So I think on the basis of things, we're going to go for the tyre wear upgrade. We did really struggle for tyres at Monaco, so that needs to be an issue we address. Unfortunately, it's not going to be on for either Baku or Canada. Two tracks which really eat up the rear tyres. When we get to Silverstone, a track which kind of eats up the front left tyre, that'll certainly be a welcome addition to the car, especially with my tyre wear. For whatever reason, I'm really hard on the fronts on this game. I'm not too sure why, but that's seemingly a thing. Anyway, it is time to choose our rival. Thankfully, we've been nice by the game a little bit. We had the option to choose George Russell, who's in a Haas, which is at this stage slower than us, so thank you very much. Last time we had Fernando Alonso, who was basically the front runner of this entire series, or he's going to be, because now, as we head into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, McLaren is now the best car in Formula 1. They have overtaken the likes of Ferrari, Alpine, Red Bull to be the best in the sport. Mercedes dropping down a little bit as Alpine stretch ahead of those guys. We've been overtaken by Alfa Romeo heading into this race. So, yeah, they've made some big strides, and we need to continue that trend. Unfortunately, we don't have any upgrades for the short term, but come that British Grand Prix, I think we'll be flying again. Some more discounts coming in by virtue of the practice programs. So nothing really going on with our car for this race. Well, a little bit for this race. I think there was a weight reduction upgrade which went on. But especially for Canada, I don't think we'll be bringing much, if anything, at all. So we'll do our best to be competitive, whichever racetrack we turn up to. But it's time for qualifying now for Baku. All right, here we go for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I noticed the black components of the car in terms of the paint scheme have now been converted to carbon fiber, which is a lovely, lovely touch. Weight reduction, bro. Thank you, Sevi, for just making this car really look complete. So it looks like a real Formula 1 car now. So let's hope it goes as fast as it looks. Anyway, here we go for our first run in qualifying. If you guys are enjoying this series, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, to stay up to date with all my F1 22 videos. We're in a bit of a roll now with not only this series, but co-op as well. I recently did a Road to Master Rank video where we're going to be streaming that series, racing potentially against you guys in an effort to get the best rank possible on the online side of things. It's really fun series, and as well as that, we're going to be doing some one-off videos here and there as well, just to really complement what we are already doing. Anyway, across the line for our second lap there, and we ran out of battery, unfortunately, so that cost us a bit of time in the third sector. But as always, the AI are absolutely flying. 2.3 seconds off pole position pace at this stage. We initially started off with 0-0 wings at the start of the weekend, but I'm not too sure 0-0 wings will work on this car, given that we have more front downforce upgrades than rear. It might have been a bit tricky to drive, so I played it a little bit safe. We're still massively faster than everyone on the straights. We are topping out the speed trap, but we are losing out slightly in the corners. It's just a compromise we have to come to, but the AI are still ridiculous after that most recent couple of patches. The AI are just 10 difficulty levels faster than what they should be. I've been speaking to Alex Gillen lately, and he says that the AI are basically getting double upgrades, or the upgrades that they're getting are twice as powerful as what they were at the start of the game. So that's why myself, many other people have had to lower the difficulty just to still be competitive. And even with the lower difficulty, it still seems that the balance is really out of whack, especially at a circuit like this where the AI are going to be really OP in a straight line. We've had to really take all the downforce off to match them in the straights, but unfortunately we lose out a little bit in the corners, but especially on corner exit. Anyway, across the line, and it's absolutely nowhere in qualifying. Still, the difficulty is way too high from where the AI are at. Mark Webber, though, showing good pace, showing what the car is capable of with P9 there. 6/10 away from pole position pace, and we are 1.3 seconds away from our teammate, which is not realistic, is it? So we're going to have to make some adjustments heading into the race again. Every race we do with this current state of the game, we're learning, we're getting a better feel of where the AI are at and where we're at in comparison to them. So hopefully from next episode or from the race, we are going to balance it out. But especially next episode, things should be a bit more balanced, especially like in qualifying. So look forward to that. But not a good starting position for the race. I think we're going to take a new engine. We might as well, since we're starting pretty much last anyway. It's a power circuit. We're only going to lose one place, and I think we don't really have the durability either to get ourselves to the end of the season without taking engine penalties. So really, we're kind of just doing ourselves a favor for later when other teams, other drivers have to take penalties themselves. It'll all come back full circle, and we should be absolutely fine. So in go the new engine components. We will be starting pretty much from the moon, from the grid tomorrow. This Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Thankfully, it's a good track where you can overtake. DRS will really help you out. So that's what we've got to look forward to. Hopefully, we can get off to a good start and get up there with our teammate in the points where this car deserves to be. Time for the race with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome from Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and Lance Stroll. Let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position, and Robert Schwartzman completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Sir Lewis Hamilton and Magnussen, Perez, Ocon, Sainz and Lando Norris, Webber, Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo and Joe, Stroll, Russell, Oscar Piastri and Alex Albon, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Benjamin. Now I wonder, Anthony Davidson, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, trying to put pressure on or disrupt things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Right, so here we are on the grid, and as expected, we are starting from last place. I mean, with the amount of grid penalties we did take, it's a miracle we're not starting at the last corner, basically, which is pretty much at the moon at this point. But here we go, ready for the start of this race. Looks like we're going to be starting on the mediums. We've lowered the tyre pressures because I think that can affect the car pace a little bit, and I'm not really sure where the tyre pressures are supposed to be in a race kind of scenario. But this is a bit of an experiment to see how it goes. We should be fairly competitive, I hope, in the race. We often are faster in the race than what we are in qualifying, so we've got that to look forward to. A lot of people at the front on hard compound tyres, so let's see what we can do. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A little bit of a shaky start. We tried to minimize the wheel spin as best we could. Still learning on the starts, of course, and well, hopefully when we're qualifying better, we can actually get better starts and make the most of it when it does matter. Anyway, Oscar Piastri hugging the inside. We go round the outside at turn 2, and we get the better exit up into overtake to see if we can slide past the Williams driver. He's going to block the inside to prevent us from going up the inside. We go round the outside and then go back to the inside again, as Piastri just went in a little bit too cautiously, and we're able to still nav that position quite nicely, so that was nice to see. And also not get front wing damage, because the other consideration was I storm in and then run into the back of the the Aston Martins rather. So thankfully that didn't happen, and we made the best of a pretty bad situation here at the start of this race. Anyway, Piastri round the outside, heading into turn 7. Unable to make that move stick, and we are able to breathe for just a couple of corners here. Can we do anything up against Stroll and Albon? They are on the medium compound tyre as well. Watch out for that curb on the inside. If you hit that at the wrong angle on this game, it'll actually turn into a bit of an auto spin curb. There's a bit on the inside of that curb which kind of grabs the left tyres and just rotates you around. So that's certainly something to watch out for in this Grand Prix. Late apex is the way to go. Anyway, through the proper last corner. Lucky to not get done for track limits there. I think we were going so slow that we avoided getting a penalty, which was lucky on our part. Anyway, first lap is done and dusted. Stroll and Albon are catching up to the next group of cars. My teammate looks like he's going a little bit slow, and I can confirm he does have a problem with the car as we got the inside of Lance Stroll into turn 7 again, and that seems to be a happy hunting ground for us, it seems. Anyway, back to our teammate, Mark Webber, who's got some kind of car issue. I got told by Mark Priestley, our engineer, and yeah, unfortunately, he's just sliding off the back of that front-running group. The top 10 runners are all so much faster than us, unfortunately, at least in terms of on paper raw performance from the performance index. They are a long way ahead of us, so it's really hard to do anything against those guys. And my job for the foreseeable future is to bridge that gap between the midfield and the front runners. We're kind of in a league of our own at this stage, apart from Aston Martin, who are getting put in the mud by us as we put Albon behind us. That's P15 for us now. I didn't mean Aston Martin. I was talking about Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo, the only team around us on the performance index, and it'll be great to beat those guys today. Anyway, we get past both the Astons, and now let's hopefully make some inroads on our teammates, shall we? Ricciardo next, Russell, our rival. There's a lot of storylines here. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of motivations here to get ahead of these guys and to do well in this race. So let's see if we can do just that. The tyre wear's been okay. The odd snap in the back end, a bit of wheel spin here and there. Alex Gillen says the traction is better on this version of the game with the latest patch. I'm kind of yet to kind of experience that. Maybe I need to do some upgrades which will help in that area. As he's asking about my teammates, and he still has the problem, unfortunately. So it looks like it's going to be a race-long issue for Mark Webber. He is holding on very nicely, it must be said. But we're setting up a move on Daniel Ricciardo. It's not wise to overtake up the inside here. Otherwise, that costs you all the way down the straight. We will have DRS here, so we'll just make use of that. We'll use a little bit more battery, and then we'll fly past. But yeah, back to the traction issues. I think we need to do some rear downforce upgrades, maybe a weight redistribution upgrade, stay away from the power upgrades potentially for the foreseeable future. We give Daniel Ricciardo a bit of a wave as we go past him. I kind of regret that now because he's now got to run on us into turn one. We go late under brakes, and that is job done. Speaking of the brakes, that's actually something we need to target because that's a bit of an issue I've noticed at this racetrack. With all the really heavy braking zones, I find that we're actually struggling to pull the car up. It's actually resulted in some overtakes, but we're legitimately lacking stopping power. So now that we've done the most recent weight reduction upgrade, we can unlock we have unlocked the major brake upgrade, which will be something I target in the future because our stopping distances aren't as good as those around us. But we're putting ourselves in a good position regardless. Up the inside of Russell there, as we see the replay. We're literally braking at the same points as the AI, but because the stopping power isn't good on our car, it's meaning we're carrying more speed into the corner, and we're actually getting overtakes done, but we're going in really hot into some of these corners and getting ourselves into a little bit of trouble. Thankfully, it hasn't resulted in disaster yet. It could well do. I need to stop taking my chances so much because we will end up in a barrier at some point. Anyway, on board with Mark Webber, you can see, I don't know, you can't really see he's lacking pace at this stage. We are looking around at the front wing. There's nothing that's obvious that's slowing him down, but he does have a car issue. So, yeah, unfortunate because he was running with the Ferraris, he was running with one of the Haas boys, so yeah, he's looking pretty good for pace, but now it seems like it's dropped off even more, and he's falling into our clutches. So, lap 9 here, it looks like we're going to get a move done on our teammate. We got the DRS, we're going to use none of our battery on this straight because we're pretty much in the mud with that, 8%. Webber defends to the inside, to Aussies fighting side by side into turn 1, and thankfully we do keep it clean. Into P12, let's hopefully work together. Hopefully I can drag Webber along towards this little battle involving Norris and Pierre Gasly, and we can make a charge for some points. Mark Webber has been the benchmark these last few races, getting those top 5s, top 6s. I've been kind of lacking pace due to the recent changes to the game, but we're clawing back some of that ground, and hopefully Mark can stay with us. Unfortunately, he has fallen into the clutches of Russell, Ricciardo, and a lot of people behind us. He's really struggling now, unfortunately, so it doesn't look like points are on the horizon for my teammate. Anyway, medium compound runners are into the pit lane. I actually got called in about a lap or two ago, but I've been putting in PBs, I've been putting in green sectors, so I've almost not felt the need to come into the pit lane. I said box this lap, but I'm still not going to come in because we're still going faster. Almost to the 3rd sector there. That was only 2/10 off our personal best. We didn't have as much battery to use there, and we didn't have any DRS or slipstream 21, so we lost out in the 3rd sector. But these tyres just seem to be getting better and better as this race wears on. Guan Yu Zhou is out of the Grand Prix with an engine failure, but he's also lost his front wing. What's going on there? Into the pit lane we go now. The tyres are now starting to drop off a little bit, and so it's the optimal time to go onto the hard compound tyres. I nearly thought about stretching even further to like lap 18, lap 19 and going on to soft compound tyres. But I think the loss of time would have been too great. Onto the hard compound tyres we go. We only have to worry about Pierre Gasly here, who we are going to overcut, and it's going to be side by side for the two of us. We are going to merge in front, just about. But Pierre gets the position, we get the DRS. I think that's a fair trade in my book, so let's see if we can get this position back without taking too much life out of the tyres. They are still very cold on these hards as we emerge just about in front of turn 3. We retake P12, and now that we're in front of Pierre, we can really just cruise. We can bring these tyres up to temperature quite nicely, quite slowly, and not worry about losing track position to Daniel Ricciardo, who needs to come in again, actually. He started on the hards, and he's got to go to mediums at some point. Defending as we head now into turn 7. Pierre goes round the outside. Our tyres are still a little bit cold, so we're not running at optimal pace at this stage. Into turn 8. We nearly understeer into the barrier, such as the understeer on those front tyres. And we finally do a lap of the circuit, and just about now the tyres should be up to temperature, so now we can lean on them a little bit. But now Pierre Gasly, he's got DRS, he's got slipstream. We haven't used much battery on this straight, and this is a good test because this is what the scenario is going to be like for the rest of this race, and we do manage to stay ahead of the AlphaTauri with minimal effort. So the low downforce approach for this setup this weekend has certainly worked out. It means that we can just defend position quite nicely and maybe even attack people if we're able to get close. But the next car is Carlos Sainz, and he's 8 seconds up the road on medium compound tyres, which he's only just put on the car. So it's going to be tough to do anything against that Ferrari. In comes the other Ferrari of Lando Norris. He's actually a little bit further behind Carlos Sainz, so we might actually be able to have a battle here as he emerges on the circuit. I think he's going to get us. It's going to be medium compound tyres for Norris and some clear air, which is not a combination that I'm a fan of. So Norris emerges 3 seconds ahead. We don't have the pace to run with a Ferrari, which is already faster than us by some way. Then you add the fact that he's got fresh medium compound tyres. He's going to be another second faster. So nothing I can really do there. We were briefly faster while he was getting his tyres up to temperature, but as Norris settles into this stint, it's going to be very tough to do anything. Meanwhile, the McLarens are absolutely flying up front. 1 and 2 for Alonso and Schwartzman. They both set fastest laps, but Schwartzman was the one who actually went quicker on the last lap. It is Fernando leading by 4 seconds from Robert Schwartzman, the rookie, in P2. That McLaren is only slightly faster than the Red Bulls, but in terms of actual race performance, they are a good step ahead of Red Bull. They're 10 seconds, maybe more, off the lead of the Grand Prix at this stage, and then from Red Bull to Mercedes and the rest, it's an even bigger gap. So the front runners have a massive advantage. Robert Schwartzman doesn't have an advantage anymore. He is out of the Grand Prix, maybe pushing that engine too much, and it has now gone pop in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. That's such a shame as well. We only had like 7 or 8 laps to go. 5 laps. Just 5 laps to go, and McLaren would have had a 1-2 in this race. It's a shame for those guys, but it's not a shame for me. We are now running in the points in this Grand Prix, and, well, it's not a waste of time anymore, is it? Anyway, this is the cork in the bottle. This is Kevin Magnussen in the Alpine, holding back the Ferraris, holding back a Mercedes. Hopefully those guys battle and continue to squabble, because it invites me into the party. They were, well, about 10 seconds up the road was Carlos Sainz, and now it's back under 10 as Norris goes for a double dive bomb into turn number 3. He does get the Mexican of Sergio Perez. He didn't get the Alpine, unfortunately, and he has to bide his time for now. But Carlos Sainz has managed to get ahead of everyone in that group and is looking like best of the rest in this race. Only a handful of laps to go now as we're, not looking good for any more further places unless there's some damage, unless there's some major scuffling for the race leaders. P10 is going to be our maximum in this race. We managed to drop Pierre as well really nicely. He's 5 seconds behind us. As soon as we got outside of 1 second, we really got clear of the AlphaTauri. So it shows the position in the championship that we're in right now. We're really in no man's land. We're out of touch from the race leaders. We're then the lower midfield and the back markers. can't really touch us either unless like Webber has a major car issue, which has affected his pace for the entire Grand Prix. But Fernando Alonso wins in Azerbaijan.
You are the best.
Lovely stuff. McLaren is back to winning ways with Fernando Alonso. What a combination it is in Formula One. It really is strange times at this point. But there we go. He is absolutely on fire. We return to points and hopefully the start of more.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Not gonna lie, we did get quite lucky there with some retirements, but we put ourselves in that position to make the most of it. P10, more please.
A beautiful performance from McLaren today. Tell me, Anne, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with on the track.
Crazy. And I'm not even surprised. So much is happening in Formula One right now. I mean, the last time I made a career mode video, Sebastian Vettel was still going to be a Formula One driver next season and beyond. He was looking to extend. Oscar Piastri was still looking like an Alpine driver. Fernando Alonso was still an Alpine, and everyone was happy. Now it's just chaos in the paddock. This is, what day is it? This is Thursday, the 4th of August. I'm probably going to open Twitter and see Lewis Hamilton's retired or something ridiculous like that. That could make the greatest silly season of all time, potentially. But back to this race. I mean, we already have had a pretty crazy silly season ourselves, with Lando leaving McLaren, going to Ferrari, Mark Webber returning to the sport, Oscar Piastri turning us down. I mean, some of the early predictions this career mode has made has been quite scary to see it transpire in real life. But regardless, we get some points today. The pace was decent. We managed to cut through the field nicely. We set up the car for overtaking, and that's exactly what we made the most of. P22 and last to P10 to get the final points paying position of the Grand Prix. A shame for Mark Webber to have that car issue, because I really think he could have mixed it with the likes of Kevin Magnussen in that race, who was looking good for P4, P5 in that race. I actually don't know where he ended up, but he was actually quite comparable in terms of pace to us. So if we just qualified well and started where we should have, we might have been in a position to just hang on to the coattails of the Alpines in that race, because their fastest lap of the overall race was very comparable to what we did. So, yeah, we'll work on our qualifying. There's a bit of me that needs to improve in qualifying, but also the game and the AI are just stupidly fast over the course of one lap when they've got full use of battery modes and stuff. So now that we know that, I'm going to be more competitive in future races, I hope. We head to the Canadian Grand Prix next in both career mode and co-op career mode. As you're watching this, I think we will be recording live co-op career for the Canadian Grand Prix. So look forward to that. Link to my Twitch is in the description, as with all my other social media platforms, if you guys are interested in seeing that. And again, follow me on TikTok. I'm uploading a bit of TikTok stuff at the moment as well, and I'm really enjoying it, just doing different stuff that I wouldn't necessarily upload to the channel. I haven't uploaded some of those videos yet. The majority of it has just been clips from Twitch from here, but I do want to do some more real life stuff. I did a track day recently at Brands Hatch, and literally my first couple of laps, I was a passenger in one of my friend's cars, and literally second or third lap we went straight into the gravel trap. So there's a little teaser for that on my TikTok. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Good race today, good points, good point. And let's continue this. We need P3 in the Constructors. We have a long way to go to improve this car, our driver, our facilities, everything to be a big boy in this sport. So let's hope we can turn it around in the second half of the season, get the backing to really elevate us as well. And then the sky's the limit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.